मतलब इस देश में कल अगर किसी पार्लियामेंट्री की जमानत भी जब्त हो जाए और जनता उसको इतनी बुरी तरह से हरा दे जो हराती है, तो भी उसको पार्लियामेंट की पेंशन योजना के तहत उसको जो लाभ मिलता है, वो टोटल लाभ अगर जोड़िएगा कैश अमाउंट जोड़ के, तो आपको जान के हैरत होगी 2 लाख रुपए पेंशन मिलते हैं उसको। ये मजाक है क्या इस देश के लिए?
See, defense, there are 4 heads on which defense is getting money. Defense pension, the increase from the RE stage of 2018-19 to today is 1 lakh 6, I'm reading the actual amount, 10,067, am I right? No, 1 minute, 1 lakh 6,775 crores was in the RE. Now it's 1 lakh 12,080 increase. We go to the revenue, 93,000, no, wait a minute, capital outlay on defense services, 93,982 in RE stage. Now it's 1 lakh 3,394. Then go to defense on revenue, defense services on revenue, 1 lakh 88,000, 1 lakh 8,000, am I right? 1 lakh 88,118 crores was in the RE of 2018-19. Now it's 2 lakh 1,902 increased. There's one more left, which is a smaller item, civil, Ministry of Defense civil. That was at 16,318 crores. Only that has seen a 13,635 now, a 3,000 reduction. Because we've already given some to them, that will be adjusted there. Otherwise, under every head for defense, it's an increase, substantial increase.
Okay. Madam,
so it probably helps to have a former defense minister as finance minister.
Madam, I am here. Madam, Dr. Manoj Banerjee from Northeast and Bengal. I have gone through your budget speech, but there was nothing, no mention of Northeast. What about your allocation in Northeast, please?
Just as there was no mention of defense, but it had increase. Northeast, you like to know. B 2018-19, 0.47 lakh crores. Now it is 0.59 for the Northeast region as a whole. A 25% increase, would you say?
Yes.
I'm Rishti from Bloomberg News. Could you give us some details on your overseas sovereign bond announcement? When do you plan to raise and how much are you planning to get through that?
So this is the beginning which has been made. So it's a policy announcement that we would be starting raising sovereign bonds abroad now. We have not decided on exact amounts. We will do that kind of analysis, and soon we'll come up with what kind of beginning we will make. But certainly the start will be made now on the sovereign bonds.
मैं प्रशांत हूँ एबीपी न्यूज से। एक जो क्रिटिसिज्म जो अभी तक हम लोगों ने सुना है वो ये है कि एक कॉन्ट्रडिक्शन है। इलेक्ट्रिक वाहनों पर आप लोगों ने छूट दिया है जो कि बहुत ज्यादा अभी चलन में नहीं है, लेकिन पेट्रोल डीजल पे सेस लगाकर आप लोग महंगाई बढ़ेगी उससे और मध्यम वर्ग पर भी और सब पर भार पड़ेगा। दूसरा एक और भी एक चर्चा सुबह से बहुत कौतूहल का विषय बना हुआ है मैम कि आपकी लाल पोटली आज लाने का क्या ये था, क्योंकि
Good afternoon, friends. On behalf of Press Information Bureau, I welcome you all to this post-budget press conference of the Union Finance Minister and her budget team. As you know, the Union Minister for Finance and Corporate Affairs, Srimati Nirmala Sitharamanji, presented today the General Budget 2019-20 in the Lok Sabha a short while ago. And it happens to be the first budget of the first full-time woman finance minister of the country. I extend a warm welcome to you, ma'am, to this press conference. I also welcome the Minister of State for Finance and Corporate Affairs, Sri Anurag Thakurji, Finance Secretary, Sri Subhash Chandra Garg, Secretary DFS, Sri Rajiv Kumar, Revenue Secretary, Sri Ajay Bhushan Pandey, Expenditure Secretary, Sri Girish Chandra Murmu, Secretary Deepam, Sri Atanu Chakravarti, and Chief Economic Advisor, Dr. Krishnamurthy Subramanian. Today's press conference will go like this. First, Honorable Finance Minister will make her opening remarks, which will be followed by question and answer session. While asking questions, please identify yourself and your organization, and also be very brief in your asking your question. Please confine yourself to just one question each so that we can cover as many journalists as possible. Before we start, I would make a gentle request that your mobile phones should be in silent mode. Over to the Finance Minister, please.
Thank you very much for coming over for this press conference soon after the budget presentation has happened in the Parliament. I take this as an opportunity to not only answer your questions but also to be able to elaborate on a lot of points which will be relevant for the discussions and the discourse which happens post the budget presentation. As I started during the presentation of the budget itself saying, this budget, which is the first one for this term of the government, is presented with a 10-year vision in mind. The 10-year vision is also a point of continuity from the interim budget, where the specifics of what we expect to achieve in 10 years is very well narrated. I recalled them. And also what is attainable as a target within 5 years, which is in short, in a concise form we say $5 trillion economy, but that is only to indicate that within 5 years, the major steps that we are going to take towards achieving that kind of a level. So the emphasis is very clearly on overall development of the economy, where you're looking at rural initiatives, all of which will give a certain dynamic to the rural area and therefore contribute to the growth. Similarly, we looked at ways in which urban living can be bettered, and what were the ways in which we were going to spend money both in urban and rural in the name of infrastructure, in the name of building better cities, better villages, facilities, and so on. In this, in every one of the point, there is an aspect of effectively managing the challenges that we have on an environment. That's why there's emphasis on waste to energy, waste to wealth management, and so on, all of which in terms of what kind of a particular benefit it is going to give will have to be calibrated with the particular benefit together with the collaterals which are more important. So all of which is aimed at the broad picture of the new India, where we are saying it's going to be a better India with all kinds of facilities which are just not building one bridge, but because you're building it in a green way is going to have an impact on all of the aspects of ease of living. Like the way we constantly talk about environment, water pollution and degradation and so on. So that is why the budget presentation format also was 10-year vision, 5-year target, and the 5-6 areas through which we are elaborating on the various schemes, whether it is Gramin Bharat, whether it's Urban Bharat, whether it's looking at youth. So it's not just I've launched XYZ schemes in different areas, but it's a comprehensive picture of that entire segment or sector of society being improved upon. So under that, as I said, urban, rural, youth, women have all been taken up, and also special initiatives to improve the ease of living. And one broad reference was also made for the India international image through the soft power. But more importantly, that one particular sector on which there's a lot of discussion going on for the last almost 8-9 months is about the NBFCs. because they are a very critical component to our banking system, in that they are the ones who are lending to the last consumer who wants to buy his motorbike or a scooter or even purchase something, and therefore these NBFC credits were very, very critical. I made it a point to mention as to what the government's plan is. It's not just a one-off. It's a comprehensively well thought out approach to the crisis about which all of us were talking about, and therefore on that the approach that we have taken and the approach which is going to make the Reserve Bank of India a regulator both for the NBFCs in general and for the housing, where already the NHB was doing or expected to do the regulation. Now that power through the finance bill which is presented now will be given off to the RBI. There's also this window being opened for NBFC financing, and that to that window there is a backstop of the government security up to 10%, and we expect as a result the pooling of those resources or assets which can be bought and somewhere securitized. So the whole approach is to ensure that the government has responded comprehensively for the NBFC issue. And if we have responded comprehensively to the NBFC issue without understanding the regulatory shortcomings, it would have been something which you may want to ask more questions. But now, what I want to tell you is, it's a comprehensive approach, understanding that the regulatory powers also will have to be addressed, and that is being moved to the RBI. And one other big thing that I'm sure all of you all would have noticed, there is about recapitalization 70,000 crores for the banks which is being given, and because of that we expect, even if there is this debate that no, it is not a liquidity issue, banks have money, they are not passing it on, or they are passing it on higher rates, and that is not getting moved over to the citizens, that issue should now stand squarely addressed, because that fund is going to help the banks to be a bit more easy with their credit extensions. Then many other points which could otherwise get lost, I would broadly only indicate about the way in which we have decided on the government holding 51%, on the disinvestment. All the targets are realistically placed. Every target that we've given, tax collection, revenue collection, are all absolutely reasonable limits. There's no exaggeration of tasks of the assignment. So I would think there's emphasis on green, affordable, ease of living for common citizens. Infrastructure gets priority, like the way in which the last 5 years consumption in the rural areas is being pumped by the government's expenditure on infrastructure, so that in situ benefits for workers who are working in these projects will reach money, actual money, real money will reach the rural consumer. So broadly, that's the kind of line we've taken. Startups have been given a whole set of tax benefits, whole set of approach which is going to make them feel a lot more ease of doing their business. Startups have been given. One point which I forgot to mention, or probably I didn't elaborate in the budget speech, was how stand-ups have made a big difference for social transformation. Today, the manual scavenging issue is something on which all of us really feel very bad. But stand-up has been so effectively utilized, along with startups designing robots which can help in reducing the monotony and the drudgery of that job. Today, the effective combination of startup and stand-up, together with banks utilizing that facility, has given the chance for many of the SCs and STs to come out as entrepreneurs. Now they have a company of their own and they employ, and this has employ a lot more number of people. This is a part of what we have had in our stakeholders consultation. So in a way, this budget is setting a vision, setting a target, achieving the target, or laying out plan to achieve the target, not just with one rasta, but touching every sector of our society. And banks which have had recent difficulties have been addressed. NBFC crisis has been addressed. More regulatory and other powers are being transferred to where they rightly should belong because of the capacities that exist. So as an opening statement, I would only probably say this much, but very clearly if there are very genuine concerns about, what will happen to social sector, is this happening or not, I can straight away tell you, welfare for SC, welfare for SC, welfare for ST, welfare for the poor are all increased. The outlay is increased for all of them. So there's no shortage, or we have not pinched on those areas. They have been, the fund allocation for these areas have been increased. And the big idea that we have to get all the fellowship related money, scholarship related money for higher education and the research based money, which is spread across very many ministries, are now pooled in, so that there's one agency which takes care of that. So this is about all that I want to say in the opening statement. I would think this, and also for, women, SHG, one woman in every SHG will get at least ₹1 lakh for her business through the Mudra loan. And their overdraft facilities are also increased. So we've tried addressing all the segments, sectors without denying anybody else. So,
Okay, Lakshman.
मैम मैं लक्ष्मण CNBC आवाज से इसमें दो चीजें ऐसी हुई, जैसे पेट्रोल पे हम लोगों ने ₹2 बढ़ोतरी की, और दूसरा एक सर्टेन अमाउंट से ज्यादा कैश निकालने पे टैक्स लगाने की बात की है। इसके पीछे दरअसल मकसद क्या था? ये माना जा रहा था कि इस प्रचंड बहुमत के बाद लोगों को कुछ खास तोहफा मिलेगा, लेकिन इसको थोड़ा सा नकारात्मक अंदाजे से देखा जा रहा है।
तोहफा मिलने में भी आपको दिखता नहीं है, बहुत तोहफा है। और पेट्रोल और डीजल का विषय में it is very clearly global situation being what it is, and India's funding, public funding requirement being what it is, there's always this demand that fund has to be mobilized without hurting individual taxpayers much more. But at the same time, let's also be clear, petrol and diesel are not in the GST. So we want to make sure that we don't expand on individual personal income tax so much, but where there are public transport coming in nowadays, individual spending on fuel, but particularly biofuel being promoted, this kind of a fuel is something which we wanted to address. That is why. And cash withdrawal, आप समझिए 2 करोड़ तक per account, one account से 2 crore within a year, 1 crore within a year निकालने का आवश्यकता क्या होगा? 1 crore from one account withdrawal of cash. I don't know, I don't comprehend this. But yet, if you're a taxpayer and you're filing a return, with that you can reconcile this. This is not a TDS aside from that. That will get reconciled. जो करना चाह रहे हैं आप कैश के साथ, वो प्लीज आप इलेक्ट्रॉनिकली ट्रांसफर करो, कुछ TDS VDS नहीं है। हम आपके ट्रांसैक्शन के खिलाफ नहीं है, कैश के खिलाफ।
Ruchi.
Ma'am, congratulations on your maiden budget. I'm Ruchi Bhatia from ET Now. Ma'am, you have in the budget, announced a lower of 3.3% for 2020, and this while maintaining support for growth as well as income. Rating agencies are saying that this is going to be a challenging task. How are you planning to, make sure that you're able to boost growth at this point of time? Also, just to add to that, if you could help us understand how much revenue will you be able to raise through the revenue raking measures that you've undertaken?
So this has been very carefully considered. The revenue side, as compared to the actuals of 18-19, which are available now, the direct taxes have been budgeted to increase only by 17.5%, as against something like 23-24% earlier. Indirect taxes are going up only by 15%. This brings realism to it. It also includes the effect of the excise duties as well as on the income tax. So these are very realistic targets in our judgment. So revenue is that. There is also an increase in the non-tax side, which is going up by we expecting better dividends. On expenditure side, it's more or less same as the interim budget, only an increase of about 2,000 crore or so. All these put together gives us a saving of about 6,000 crore as compared to the interim budget. That brings down from 3.4 to 3.3. So it's a realistic budget on both sides, on the revenue as well as on the expenditure, and this is doable. Some concern which have been expressed that outside the budget there might be a borrowing. Even there is a reduction. The fully serviced bonds, which were about 64,000 crore last year, are being brought down to about 57,000 crore. So on everywhere there is a realism, and there is nothing outside this, and therefore I think you should take them as reasonably credible. Thank you.
Mukesh question.
Sir, ma'am, my question is regarding the corporate tax. There is a tax reduction that you've proposed for corporates with 400 crore rupees of over turnover. How much of a revenue loss does it come, and why did you not choose to give it to the complete 1% which was left out last time in the budget? Because there was already a roadmap towards reduction of corporate tax. Only 1% of corporate tax assessees were left out, but still the entire 1% is not covered. How much of a revenue loss it is, and what is the thinking behind to not to extend it to the remaining 1%?
Well, I think we are only progressively moving towards fulfilling our goal on that, and by bringing in more number of industries into that lowered rate, we are clearly sending a message out there saying we are not trying to stick to rigidity on the rates about corporate tax. But as regards revenue loss on that, I would like Secretary to.
The corporate tax rate, till now it was 250 crores. So 250 crores, and now this limit has been raised to 400 crores. So the revenue loss that we have estimated is around 4,000 crores that the government will have to forego. But it covers, as said by Honorable Finance Minister in her budget speech, it covers 99.3% companies who are having turnover less than 400 crores.
Hi,
Madam.
I'm Shubham Batra from Cogensis. My questions to Finance Secretary on the budget numbers, particularly how have we factored in FY20 from the RBI dividend? There's a higher allocation there. And on the recapitalization side of PSU banks, the 70,000 crore, is this via recapitalization bonds?
The Reserve Bank dividend will come after the Reserve Bank's meeting takes place.
So, but how much have we factored in FY20?
We have placed something close to about 90,000 crores.
Okay.
And for the bond, it's as was done earlier, it's below the line. So it's part of the fiscal, it's not part of the fiscal deficit, but it's part of the debt. Same methodology, capitalization bond.
Ma'am, this is Mukesh Kaushik from Dainik Bhaskar. Ma'am, before coming to this ministry, you were also defense minister, and there was expectation in defense forces that there would be substantial increase in their defense budget when full-fledged budget would be presented, but you did not mention anything about defense. Is it not increased or left at the same level where it was announced in interim budget?
If I have not mentioned, it doesn't mean that I have not increased. On the contrary, I have actually increased. Only I have not mentioned it there. I'll read it for you.
दोस्तों, केंद्रीय कर्मचारियों को मिलेगा बोनस में 40 दिनों का वेतन। इसके साथ ही पेंशन धारकों की बढ़कर आने वाली है पेंशन। इसमें बताना चाहूँगा, इसमें नवंबर की पेंशन के साथ इसमें 4 लाख रुपए एरियर का होगा भुगतान। इसके तहत ही इसमें 4% एरियर आपएसबी का बढ़कर सभी कर्मचारी पेंशन धारकों के खाते में जाने वाला है। बोनस में इसमें कर्मचारियों को मिलने वाले इसमें 40 दिनों का वेतन। और इसके तहत ही बताना चाहूँगा, बेसिक सैलरी का आप सभी का 55,000 रुपये इसमें बोनस सरकार ने जो बढ़ा है। इसके तहत ही पेंशन धारकों की पेंशन इसमें वार्षिक द्वारा इसमें 65 वर्ष में सरकार की तरफ से इसमें 5% जो आप सभी की बढ़ोतरी सरकार की तरफ से की गई है। इसमें 18,000 बोनस है। पेंशन को लेकर सरकार की तरफ से ऐलान कर दिया गया। 18 महीने बकाया डीए एरियर की राशि इसमें 2004 से बढ़कर आप सभी के खाते में आने वाला है एरियर का पैसा। ये अभी भी सबसे बड़ी खबर। वीडियो को शेयर करें। नमस्कार, जय जय भारत।